I have a great statistic for you. Do you know that strategically placed trees can cut your cooling bill and your heating bill down by about 25%? I've got more interesting green details, so stay tuned and we will be right back. Well, welcome and thank you for joining us. I have a great guest this evening. His name is Forrest Linebarger, and he is a green environmentalist, architect, and I find the most fascinating thing is that you graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in philosophy. How did you make that crossover?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Bobby. Well, green building encompasses philosophy in many ways. Philosophy is a way of dealing with life and perceiving life, and green building is a new way to look at housing, to get the most out of it, and to have it conform with your own goals and your own values.
Well, what is the big thrust? I mean, how do you see that? Everyone talks about global warming. They talk about all the things we did wrong in the past. There's a good question. What do you think was the wrongest thing that we had done in the past? If you can pick one.
Well, the way that we build today is primarily inherited from the post-World War II housing boom. So after World War II, all the veterans came back home and they wanted to start their families and get moving, and we had a housing crisis and we needed to build a lot of housing. So we built inexpensive housing quickly for the veterans. It was admirable for what it did, but it was not the best housing. It was poor quality, required a lot of energy, wasn't designed particularly well, and ever since then we've sort of continued to build in that way. So we did not keep our architectural heritage, which had many green building principles involved, and we didn't learn very quickly. So in the last decade or so, green building has really undergone a resurgence and is beginning to take on a place of its own. And it's really looking at our building practices and saying, how can we do this better? How can we make our environments more comfortable for people, healthier, save money, save energy, and create better environments using both the past and the scientific principles that we know today now?
Well, when I had that little lead-in, prior to the lead-in, I spoke about the trees. And you said, well, that's sort of right, and let me explain that to you, Bobby. And I said, no, save it for the viewers. So why don't you explain that strategically placed tree?
So one of the things that we look at in green building is not just the structure itself, but also its placement on the site and the surrounding landscape. One wonderful thing to do that costs no money is to carefully place trees, especially deciduous trees, placed around the house, especially along the southern and western sides of the house, can create a beautiful canopy in the summer and create shade underneath the trees and also shade the building, your house, and therefore reduce your air conditioning costs. In the winter, deciduous trees drop their leaves, which creates a nice mulch on the ground, which can keep your weeds down and lets the sun in, come and hit your house, hit the windows, and decrease your energy bill. So trees both act to cool the house in the summer and heat the house in the winter.
Well, green is in the news. I mean, it is just everywhere. And we're talking about green building is growing at a rate of almost 40% a year. Why?
Well, that's right. Green building is hot, and the reason green building is hot, I think, is due to a number of factors. One of the things that we've been hit with time and time again is the science on global warming. The preponderance of evidence is definitely showing that human carbon dioxide emissions are increasing global warming, and a lot of people are taking stock and thinking, how am I contributing to this? And they would like to try to reduce their their ecological footprint. Another factor is instability in the Middle East and in Venezuela. A lot of people are looking at where we're having our conflicts in the world, and they all seem to be associated with energy, with our energy dependence. So many people are thinking, hey, how can we be more energy independent, and how can we control our own use of energy? And you can do that by providing your own energy or by reducing your energy. Green building does both. So that, I think, is very interesting. And the other bit of science that's I think has really gotten people excited about green building is over the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a lot of studies on health, productivity, and how they're associated with green building practices, and and people are looking at their families, at the quality of life for their family, and they're saying, hey, how can I improve the quality of my life? And one way that they look at is they employ green building principles. So I think all those things have really been helping a lot, as well as the tax incentives, which our government, especially California, but also the federal government, has been providing a number of tax incentives for all sorts of green building practices.
Well, I saw that, and then the fear of deforestation.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of the other thing that many people look at is they look at their environment. They see, hey, a lot of people that live here in the Bay Area have watched the area grow from the 50s, and they're seeing the natural environment fade away, and they're thinking, hey, how can we live more responsibly and reduce our impact on our environment, both here and elsewhere? And green building practices really, we really pay attention to where we get what we put into the house and what we take out of the house, to make sure that we're acting responsible stewards of the earth in what we bring into the house, and also what we leave behind.
Well, responsible stewards of the earth is a great. Did you make that up?
I think I did.
It's going to become a buzzword now. But listen, we're going to have to go to break. However, we touched upon the health issues with the greenhouses and how it can make a difference, even in the lighting. I found that section fascinating when I was reading your notes. So we will touch upon that in the next section. So stay tuned. We will be right back. Thanks.